Imagine a world where women are strong, confident, heard, respected, cherished, valued and loved for who we are. 20 years ago, St. Pope John Paul II wrote a letter to women, recognizing the contributions that we make, encouraging us to live out the fullness of our feminine dignity, focusing on our gifts of sensitivity, receptivity, generosity, and maternity.
Going back to what St. John Paul II said, that if there's a problem in the world, he says women should be a part of the solution.
I look at women that I know and I see their feminine genius, and I want that beauty to be infused into our world.
He's given a woman a special heart.
The feminine genius is the capacity that women have to always see human beings, to see the person that's there.
It's like a present that we have inside, and it's our work of every woman to discover it.
Femininity includes fortitude and courage and integrity and wisdom.
We are truly that reflection in the world, that gentleness, that kindness.
I love being a woman. I love the fact that there is a feminine genius, and not only is it nothing to be hidden or ashamed of, but it should be valued.
Receptivity is the capacity a woman has to receive God's love and to receive others into her heart.
There's such beauty in giving someone, the person that's right in front of you, your full attention, because the rest of the world isn't always doing that.
Your heart matters. The love that you can give to others, it matters. And Jesus wants to use you, he wants to use me to actually lift others from their depression and calm their anxiety and nurture them and comfort them.
I was trying to decide my major, and I decided to become a social worker. I thought, okay, this is, a great place for me to show my faith. I would sometimes attend Mass off campus, and the priest gave this amazing homily about how really God has no hands but ours. And I really took that as a sign that I'm the one that needed to show others, basically, Jesus through my love and my actions, and social work was a great place to do that. When I came home from college and went to graduate school, I came home and I noticed that my statue of Mary has no hands. That her hands are stretched out like this, and the hand parts have broke off. For me, just one of those incredible moments of like a God wink, and I think, okay, I'm on the right track.
So one day you're like there and you say, okay, Jesus, do whatever you want. Do your will and I will follow.
A woman's receptive nature is at the heart of her sensitivity. It is this gift that makes her attentive to the needs of others, to offer comfort and accompaniment.
We can think that to be feminine means to be weak, and this is a complete misunderstanding.
I absolutely think sensitivity is a superpower because it gives us this ability to serve.
I think God has allowed me to experience suffering at different times in my life. For example, after I gave birth to my first 4 kids, I was the most joyful, happy person you can imagine. And so I really couldn't understand when mothers went through depression after birth. I felt sorry for them, I felt sympathy, but I wasn't empathetic. And then God allowed with my 5th child, after birth, and with every child up until my 8th and last child, to experience postpartum depression in a really profound way. And it was tough. It was something I'd never experienced before. So now that I have gone through that experience, I am much more sensitive to the feelings of a new mother. I'm 100% convinced that God allowed me to feel that so I would understand.
I think God made women and created this feminine genius concept for us because he realized when he'd made Adam that there was going to be something missing. And women bring a softness to this world that a man can't bring.
Women respond with generous hearts, offering their time, talents, and ultimately giving of their whole self.
One of the images that I have of a Just a perfect example of the feminine genius is when Veronica reaches out to Jesus for him to wipe his face. That's what women do every day. You know, we reach out.
When I was 16, I spent some time in Romania, in a little village working with disabled orphans there. That was a huge moment for me when I realized that I didn't need to be a medical expert. I didn't need to, know how to deal with kids psychologically or have a degree, but as a 16-year-old girl, I could love them and give them my time. And I watched kids come alive when somebody paid attention to them. I had a little boy who, he was severely autistic and nonverbal, and he wouldn't look anybody in the eye, wouldn't communicate, but as soon as I started playing with him and interacting with him for days, he started to look up and he would look at me. How he responded to someone simply wanting to be with him and wanting to love him. I'll never forget that.
If you look at each person you come across with generosity and thinking that maybe if you're just a little more loving, they might be able to, in turn, have a change of heart.
When we give ourselves to the Lord, and when we give ourselves to our husbands and our children, you're never left empty.
Maternity is one of the great joys and mysteries of the feminine genius. It is the capacity to receive and nurture life, both physical and spiritual.
One of the greatest joys of being a mother is when you have your first child, you just get to know a love that never before you had experienced.
My child, of course, needs me and my husband, but there were certain things that I knew I could only give them. And I knew that was definitely something that God designed in the vocation of motherhood.
Love whatever kid you have out there. If your mama looking for a child, or even if you have two, you're looking for the third you can't have or have none, you can always be a mom.
We had 4 kids in 5 years, and I was sufficiently overwhelmed. and I thought, you know what, we might not have any more children. I got an email from a dear friend of mine inviting me to Guadalupe. And of course there's this beautiful chapel up there built to Our Lady. I'm trying to viciously write down in my notebook every intention that anyone had ever given me over the past 2 months. And then I get to what I think my intention will be. And I think it's going to be, God, please help us to discern when to be open to another child. But instead, I write down, please send us a baby. And I look down and I go, oh my gosh. And I just started weeping. I was like, this is the truest desire of my heart. This is what's left when you take the fear away. So anyway, a month later, I get pregnant, and I'll never forget, it's the first ultrasound of the pregnancy, and the doctor looks at me, and it's as if she's telling me we're gonna have a ham sandwich for lunch. I mean, she just looks at me and goes, you're having twins. There was just silence in the room, and Rob's standing there, and he just kind of squeezes my shoulder, and first thing he says is, we're gonna need a bigger house, and I don't say anything. I don't cry. I just am in silence. Rob says, let's go down to the chapel and say thank you. So I said, no, we got to get the kids from school. And he just gives me a kiss, and he's like, we're going to be okay. And I don't even respond to him. I'm still shocked into silence. Then I go in the elevator, and the doors close, and it's me and one other man, and he's a wounded warrior. He has one leg. And I just look at him straight in the eye and I go, I just found out I'm pregnant with twins. And he just breaks out in this huge grin, and he scoops me into his arms, and he says, congratulations. And he looks at me, and I'll never forget it. He says, thank you. Thank you for giving me so much to be grateful for today. And I thought, what? It was as if, I told Christ, I'm not ready to go to the chapel. I'm not ready to talk to you about this yet. And so Christ was saying, like, well, then I'll meet you in the elevator.
If I could give advice to somebody on how to live out the feminine genius, I would say that the feminine genius is not some ideal woman that you are trying to be. It's not some example that you have to attain. It's what you already are.
Maybe just stand in front of the mirror for a moment and look at who God created.
That voice of Christ that just tells you again and again that you're loved. Sometimes you just have to say, you know what, you're right.
We need each other. We speak to each other. We inspire each other.
It's just you. Your feminine genius, it's you, and it's something that this world needs.
St. Catherine of Siena reminds us, if you are who you are meant to be, you will set the world on fire. So, how are you going to set the world on fire?